People have been saying for years, and you've probably uttered these words yourself, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And then resign themselves to believing that only the lucky, wealthy, or privileged get access to the right people. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's a lie, and it keeps talented people like you stuck. And today, we're breaking it. Welcome to Crossroads and Catalyst, the podcast with Shanita B. I am your host. This is where we discuss how a thoughtful, wise, and strategic perspective at a crossroads can be the catalyst for change. Well, I appreciate that you're joining me today for your next executive brief, and what we're discussing is strategic relationship building. We're not talking about brown nosing nor luck. We're talking about actual skill. And we're going to dedicate 20 minutes to how everyday professionals like you can build the connections that change careers. So here's the situation overview. The crossroads is this: you've heard it basically your whole career. And like I said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you've probably thought, well, I don't know the right people, so I guess I'm out of luck. Well, maybe you've watched less qualified colleagues get promoted because they played golf with the VP or landed opportunities because of their college roommate and they were able to make a connection through them. So you've just kind of settled on this belief that networking is for extroverts, trust fund kids, or maybe people who are naturally good at schmoozing. And meanwhile, you keep your head down and do excellent work. And then you're just hoping that merit wins out. And we hear a lot about meritocracy, right? And meritocracy is great. But this is what you need to actually understand. Strategic relationship building is not luck, and it's definitely not privilege. It is a learnable skill, and you're behind because no one ever taught you how. And I think that a lot of people have really taught you how important it is to leverage those connections. So then who does this affect? Well, any talented professional who believes that hard work alone should be enough, but you feel disadvantaged because you don't have the right connections, or you're uncomfortable with the idea of networking because it feels manipulative or self serving. Huh. And while you're thinking that it's manipulative, your colleagues and other associates, well, they're making the headway that they want and getting the promotions, all because they don't mind reaching out and touching base with people who they know in a particular field, in a particular department, because they have goals and objectives that they're trying to meet. So why shouldn't you do the same? So the stakes are pretty high, okay? Because every day that you avoid building strategic relationships is another day that your career depends solely on your immediate manager's perception of you. And let me tell you, that's the last thing that you want. And you might have a good manager, okay? They might really have your back, but that's not the only person in the organization who you want to have solid information about your performance and your ability. Okay. So not only is that limiting, it's dangerous because your next opportunity is not going to come from working harder in your current role. It will come from someone who knows your value and thinks of you when opportunities arise. And that's ultimately what we're trying to get, right? So you want your manager, your immediate manager, you want your boss's boss, you want colleagues in other departments, you want them to recognize the value that you bring. And how do you do that? Well, you do that through strategic relationship building, strategic networking, right? So let's get some clarity around it. So the root issue is this: we have to get clear on what we're really talking about. Strategic networking is not about kissing up or using people. Okay. It is about building genuine relationships with people who can help you grow and who you can help in return. And people are very interested in helping you grow. Most decent people are open to having discussions with you and helping you along your career journey. So the reason that you think that it's for the lucky few is because no one taught you the mechanics of how it actually works. So we're going to go over some myths which I think are important to highlight so that we can break these myths, okay? So these are myths that I think keep people stuck. Number 1, networking is for naturally social people. Okay, well, really, the best networkers are often introverts who build deep strategic relationships rather than collecting business cards. So it's nice to have a pile of business cards and the proverbial Rolodex, but if you never reach out to those people, see how they're doing, ask them if there's anything that you can assist them with. Well, then you'll never know if they would be willing to assist you. Okay. So, myth number two, you need to know important people to get ahead. The reality of this is that you need to know people who know important people, and that's accessible to everyone. You hear it said that there are 6 degrees of separation because the world is so small yet so large. You never know who is in contact with another person who can get you where you need to be if you don't start having conversations, genuine conversations with people. Myth number three, networking is manipulative or self serving. Well, the reality of this is that if it's authentic, it's going to be about mutual value. Okay. So you have to show real interest while also demonstrating what you can bring. Myth number four, I don't have time for networking. Well, the truth of this is that you don't have time to not network, okay? Because your career ceiling is determined by your relationship ceiling. And I can definitely attest to that because I've witnessed it. I've witnessed it and I've experienced it myself. And I'll share a story about that in just a second. So, what are some key points that we want to pay attention to? Well, there's a high number of jobs that are filled through networking and not simply job postings. Okay. And by high percentage, I mean greater than 50%. So start talking to people who you know and ask them how they got their job or how did they hear about their job. And you might be surprised to hear what they tell you. Here's another point to pay attention to. Promotions often go to people who are known and trusted by decision makers, not just qualified. And I think we definitely can think of some people immediately who are in positions, and we are asking ourselves, well, how did they get that job? So then here's another point to pay attention to. Your network determines your access to information, opportunities, and advocates. So the more you know, the better opportunities may become available to you as a result of your strategic network. So here are some questions that I think that you should ask for your decision tree. Who in your organization knows your capabilities beyond your immediate team? So just like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to leave important information like how you perform and your abilities to the one person within your department, and that being your hiring manager. Here's another question. If your manager left tomorrow, who would advocate for you? Now, I think that that is an extremely important question to ask yourself because I actually had this happen to me years ago. I was doing really well in a particular role, and positions have been created for me in order to give me opportunities to grow, which was great. But I knew that that was going to come to an end. And so my boss's boss knew who I was. My boss's boss's boss knew who I was. I was meeting with high level executives in the organization on a regular basis. And then all of a sudden, a rift took place. And when I tell you it wiped out my strategic network almost to basically no one, I pretty much had to start over. And it was not a difficult thing to start over, but my point is, it is important to make sure that people outside of your immediate department know who you are, the value you bring, and what it is that you're trying to do because they will assist you. And I can tell you that that group of people, uh, they were trying to assist me in my goals because they knew that there was something in it for them as well. And then here's one more question to ask yourself. When's the last time you had a conversation with someone 2 levels above you? This is, I think, just as important as making sure that someone outside of your hiring manager knows what you bring because others are always looking for good talent. And if they know someone, they immediately think about that person. So make that person you. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the choices that we have. Okay, and so of course you already know that I usually will give you 3 options, and these three approaches to building strategic relationships. 2 of them will definitely guarantee that you stay invisible. Okay, so choice A: believe that networking is for other people. Well, the pros of this is that it protects you from some discomfort and it lets you avoid feeling fake if that's what you think strategic networking is about. But the cons of this is that it ensures that your career depends entirely on your current manager's advocacy. And some of you are in positions where maybe your manager, you think that your manager does not have your best interest in mind. So this definitely is not a good thing. And the reality of this particular choice is that this mindset caps your career at your current level. And that's just what it is. So choice B, network only when you need something. Well, I don't particularly think that there's a pro, but of course I have to play the advocate, right? So the pros of this is that it feels efficient and transactional. Well, people don't want to feel like we're just here to transact something, that I give you something, you give me something. There has to be a little bit more um massaging to that, I guess, for lack of a better word. But the con of this is that it feels opportunistic, okay? And you definitely may burn some bridges, and it doesn't work very often, okay? People will see through this, and they're not interested. So then, choice C, you can build the strategic relationships authentically and consistently. And this is definitely the best option because it will help you to create advocates, it will open opportunities, and you can it will provide you a little bit of security because you will know people in different departments or in different organizations even who would be willing to look out for you and offer you some insight. Okay, now it is going to require some work. So we cannot get away from work. Anytime you're thinking about being strategic, is going to require that you commit to doing something. Okay, so you have to be very intentional, and you may have to step outside of your comfort zone. But we should be comfortable being uncomfortable. And the reality of it is, this is definitely something that can actually help you to advance your career. Okay. So you do it through relationships built before you actually need those relationships. So if and when you are connected to people, don't drop the ball. Just don't do that. I can tell you about an experience that I had, and I connected a person with my dad of all people, and I didn't know this gentleman very well, but I knew that he was in IT and that he was looking for some opportunities. Okay, well, my dad was the head of IT, so hey, I know this guy. He's looking, and my dad said, okay, sure, give him my number. They did that, exchanged information, and boy, when I tell you he underwhelmed, that is an understatement. This guy, he didn't even know how to put a resume together. And essentially, what he did is he just listed his positions, his prior experience on a sheet of paper with no organization or categories or anything. I was embarrassed for him. And so you have to be prepared. You have to be ready, okay, when you make the connections because you never know when when the time will be right. So always stay ready. Always. Okay, so then how do we build strategic connections? Okay, for the regular people like us, how do we do this? Well, strategy number one, you need to identify your network. And this should be a limited number of people, but it should be strategic. Okay, and around the people who can assist you with your career goals. Okay, and so I've put this into three circles. You have your inner circle, and the inner circle consists of the people who can directly impact your advancement. Okay, these would be senior leaders and hiring managers. Then you also have your middle circle, people who have access to your inner circle, and these would also be some of the senior leaders and maybe some cross functional interdisciplinary type partners. And then you have your outer circle, people who can provide insights. They can also make introductions, or they have some industry knowledge that they can share with you. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to make a list of 5 people in your middle circle who you can build relationships with this quarter. Strategy number 2, you want to add value before asking for anything. And by adding value, that could be as simple as sharing an article or some insights, and just send it an email. Say, hey, I know that you're working on A, B, and C. I ran across this article. I thought that it was very relevant and applicable. Maybe you'll find it helpful too. The end. Okay. And then also you might want to make some introductions that will help them as well. Okay. So what I want you to do is identify one way that you can help someone in your target network this week with no ask. Okay. Do it just because it will be helpful. Strategy number 3, you want to create reasons to connect. Okay. How you can do this is simply asking for advice. A lot of people really love to share their expertise because they have a depth of it. And you get somebody started on something, and boy, they will take it and run with it. You might not have to say a word. And so, another thing that you could do is just request some informational interviews about their career path. Again, it gives them the opportunity to share with you. And if there are opportunities to assist with a project, you can volunteer to work on that project. And maybe it's contributing your expertise to that project or learning something new that you might be able to take away. But either way, you're doing it. So, your action item for this is to send one "I'd love your perspective on" type of email this week. Strategy number 4, maintain these relationships over time. This is imperative. You don't want to just make the connection, say hey, and then just fall off the face of the earth. And it's easy to do that if you're an introvert. So you have to be very intentional. So you might just set it on your calendar to check in on a quarterly basis, not just when you need something. Okay. And then celebrate their wins publicly, not yours, but theirs. And then keep them updated on your progress. People like to hear good news about other people being successful in achieving their goals and aspirations. So, your action item is, like I just mentioned, to set a quarterly reminder so that you can just touch base with some of your connections. And I personally need to do better about this as well because it's easy to allow those things to just kind of fall off. Strategy number 5, leverage your current network. You know people right now who can assist you, who can answer questions, who can, be someone to assist you with brainstorming and thinking things through on some of your next moves. Think through those people, okay? And maybe you start with your manager and ask them to do some introductions. Here's another thing you can do is you can request to attend meetings one level above your current role, because if your goal is to progress, you want to know what it takes to get there. Well, maybe sitting in on some of those meetings is just what you need to assist you with that. And then if there are some employee resource type groups or there's some committees that are available that you could participate in, well, request that you are able to be involved in those. So make sure that as an action item for this week that you ask your manager, who should I know in the organization or how can I get involved in some additional meetings to kind of help broaden my horizons. Okay, so then 30-day strategic network building plan. Week 1, identify your 3 circles and prioritize 10 key relationships. 10 sounds like a lot, but I can guarantee you, you probably know 5, 6, or 7 right now off the top of your head. Week 2, add value to 3 people without asking for anything. Okay, it just goes back to one of the earlier points that I made. Just sharing some insights, even a relevant article, it can go a long way. Week number 3, request 2 informational conversations with people in your target network. Simple, easy as pie. Week number 4, follow up with everyone you connected with and schedule your next touch points. It's going to take you a while to build this out. I don't want you to be overwhelmed, but I want you to recognize that you have to be intentional about building out your strategic network. And if you make the connections worthy and genuine, you will find that this will benefit you just as much as it will benefit them. And 6 months down the road, you'll be a lot closer to hitting your goal if you haven't already met it by then. So just move forward with it. And how are some of the excuse me, not how. What are some of the ways that you will know that you've made some success in this area? Well, now you have relationships with people outside of your immediate team, and they're adding value to you and you're adding value to them. Okay. And when people think of you, they think of opportunities that are applicable to you. And that's what you want. You want your name to come up in the conversations when you're not around, and you want people to think highly of your work because they know you and they know your work. And you want them to make the recommendations as well. And that also means that you have an advocate, which is definitely what you want. So, what is our executive summary? Well, it's not luck, okay? I'm telling you, it's not luck. For people like us, we have to get out there and we have to grind and we have to be very intentional and make effort to build a career that is going to get us where we want to go. And in order to do that, you have to make connections with people. And a lot of them are very willing and eager even to assist you with that. So it is a skill that you can learn. Okay. Strategic networking is a skill that you can learn. And refusing to learn it means you're choosing to limit your career. So it's completely up to you. So don't be upset with others when they leverage their connections. You have to learn how to leverage your connections. So ultimately, the risk level is pretty high, and your career trajectory is directly tied to who knows your value beyond your immediate manager. It is up to you to make sure that someone other than or people other than your immediate manager know what you bring. Okay. So some of you have listened to this and you will choose not to act. You will be left behind if that's what you choose. So your decision timeline is this week. Okay. So identify at least 5 people in your target network. Okay. And for next week's episode, I know that we were supposed to talk about the 5 enemies of effective leadership. Well, I pushed that out a week because I think that strategic networking is extremely important. And so I want you to give it your all. And don't forget to follow on the platform where you're listening to this and share this episode with others because it's important that we make those strategic connections. And if you want to talk through this further, then send an email to me, connect@crossroadsandcatalysts.com. And I hope to hear from you in regards to some of the stories, the stories that you would like to share with me. And don't forget, uh, you know, building strategic relationships is not always intuitive, especially if no one ever taught you how to do that. Again, you hear the old adage, well, it's not what you know, but who you know. We have to move beyond that and stop treating this as if we are helpless. We are not helpless. We can take action to build up a network that we can contribute to and that we can draw from when needed. So if you need help identifying your target network or crafting your relationship building strategy, well then send an email to me, okay? And furthermore, don't forget to download your 4C decision tree so that you can walk through your strategic networking plan because connections are ones that you have to build. Okay. So until next time, be thoughtful, be wise, and be strategic. And remember, crossroads reveal who you are, catalysts shape who you become. Every decision matters. So make it count. I'll talk to you next week.